Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for iPad today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
Coming up, the new iPad has arrived!
Plus, iPhoto for the iPad, it's out now, and all the Apple apps get a retina refresh.
All of that and round, round, get around. We'll get around on iPad today. Woo!
iPad Today is brought to you by GoToMyPC. Take care of last-minute requests from anywhere right from your phone with the GoToMyPC app for iPhone. Visit GoToMyPC.com for your free 30-day trial. Use the offer code iPad. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 30% off your new account for 3 months, go to Squarespace.com and use the offer code iPad today. And by Slingbox, which can turn your iPad into a television. With the new iPad app from Slingbox, you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you go. Check it out at slingbox.com. I didn't move.
I didn't either.
Nope, just stayed still the whole... You know, many people don't know.
Somebody paused us.
We record those show opens about 3 months ahead of time, and then we come back here, we get exactly the same clothes
We had
on.
taken Polaroids to remember what we were
Exactly.
wearing.
Remember we used
It's
to
a
do
trick
that?
of Hollywood.
At Tech TV, there was actually a wardrobe mistress, and she would have a book and a Polaroid
And
in each.
so it would be not only just looks that worked for you, but how you would remember not to overdo it with like certain crazy shirts.
That lasted a few months. And then they said, you're out of here.
And they said, we're paying people a lot of money to do this.
That-
and no one notices.
And nobody cares.
Nobody
Because it's a
cares.
bunch of geeks.
Yeah.
So I wear the same thing every day. What the hell? How
What are
you
you gonna
doing?
do?
Welcome to iPad Today.
So you're Leo Laporte.
Leo Laporte, that's Sarah Lane.
Yeah. So yesterday
we don't need to introduce each other.
Yesterday was a bit of a big day.
We, Sarah and I and Tom Merritt and Alex Lindsay got up at like the crack of dawn, 9:30, 10 a.m.
Well, we started streaming at 9:30 a.m. here in the TWiT studio, which, as you can imagine, is an ungodly hour of the morning.
Oh, my God. The sun was
Wow.
barely up.
No one was awake.
But, of course, Tim Cook was on stage and Apple announced the iPad.
Yeah. And you say, well, which iPad?
No.
iPad 3? No, they didn't announce that. iPad HD?
No.
No.
The iPad.
New iPad.
Well, they said new, but you can't keep saying new.
But people are going to say the new iPad for a while.
So I had this discussion. I've been having this discussion for the next 24 hours. Jolie Odell wrote an article saying this is a sign
That was, I'm sorry, I know you like her and she's on TWiT regularly.
You disagreed with it. She said, and
one of the worst articles I've ever read.
I kind of disagree with her too, but she made a point, which was the cracks are beginning to show in the post-Steve Jobs Apple.
Because Tim Cook didn't tuck his shirt in.
That's ridiculous.
And because she doesn't like resolutionary.
That's not a good pun.
Who cares?
That was on the front page. She said resolutionary would never have made it past Steve. And you know what? She wasn't the only person to say it. Andy Anako said it on MacBreak Weekly, too.
She said that showed signs of Apple crumbling.
Well, you'd have to be looking for it. It is a terrible pun, resolutionary, but it makes the very important point that the new iPad is about resolution. And I have to say, it is a little confusing. If they weren't selling the iPad 2...
Right.
Then you wouldn't need to name it's just the iPad. But selling an iPad 2 and the newer one is just the iPad is a little confusing.
What's also listen, I don't think anyone's really going to go into the Apple store and say, I want an iPad, and someone behind the Genius Bar saying, oh, you must mean the original iPad, which was also called iPad.
Well,
I don't think that there's that much confusion, but it's just a little odd.
I think it's figured out. I think they'll drop the 2 moniker, and it's going to be just like the MacBooks. When you go into the Apple store and buy a MacBook, you pick the specs. When you go to Dell and you buy a laptop, you pick the specs. They don't have a different name for all the specs. So essentially what they're going to offer is an iPad. If you want to save money and get it for $399, you'll have a lower res display, a slower processor, worse camera. If you want to spend $499, which is the starting point for a Wi-Fi iPad.
Bare minimum. We spent a lot more yesterday on
up to
our
$829.
LTE models.
Anywhere from $499 to $829, you'll get double the resolution horizontally and vertically, 2048 by 1536. You'll get a 5-megapixel camera with the optics from the iPhone 4S. Now that's confusing because that's an 8-megapixel camera, but it's got the multiple lenses, it's got the sensor.
So camera not quite as nice, but still pretty nice.
I think the iPhone 4 had a great camera.
Exactly.
I am thrilled.
I was reluctant to upgrade actually because I thought I think the 4 is fine.
Yeah, and I think maybe even more importantly than the still camera, although because, and we're going to show it a little later, they put iPhoto in here, this now becomes a great still camera with iPhoto built in. But I think making movies on this, because it'll be 1080p at 30 frames a second with that built-in camera, I think that means, and then you have the new iMovie, they updated that considerably, or Avid Studio, and you suddenly have, I know it's a little ungainly, it looks, but you know, when you're looking at the video as you're shooting it and it's in the resolution that it's going to be, imagine that. I think this is going to be a great movie-making device. So that's what intrigues me. I'm very happy about it.
I agree. It's a little clunky to hold. I mean, it's a huge camera to take pictures, and it's a strange size to take video. But the fact that it's an all-in-one device for so many other things, I just like carrying less things. Fewer things. Yeah, if I don't have to put a book in my backpack along with my iPad, iPad's my ebook reader. Great. If I don't have to add some sort of a camcorder, a quick cam, or whatever in my backpack with my iPad, iPad's my video camera. Great. So the more that's possible, the less I will complain about sort of this strange form factor.
I think that people are just going to get used to it.
I do too.
You know, when you shoot on a video camera or even on a phone, you're looking at a much reduced video picture of what you're seeing. And it's often not possible even to tell if the video is in focus, let alone if it looks good and so forth. This is revolutionary to have a device that shoots video at its full, and you can see it as it's going to look in high def. I think that's something people maybe don't get how important that's going to be. And I know a lot of people said, oh, you know, it's not enough of an upgrade. I'm not going to worry. I have the iPad 2. Remember, we said when iPad 2 came out, don't worry about it. If you've got the iPad 1, you still got most of the functionality. This is very different for one reason only. I think the screen. And I don't think we'll really be able to say anything about it until you see one. But once you see one, I think you're going to go,
well, you know, on Mac Break Weekly yesterday, Ryan Block was lucky enough to be in the demo area after the Apple announcement over at Yerba Buena. And he was connected to us via Skype. And he was zooming in on, I guess he was using his iPhone, zooming in on the new Retina display. And we could tell how good it was via Skype connection, which wasn't the greatest connection.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be able to put them next to each other because I've always had not a problem with even the first gen iPad 2. It's not like I have a hard time reading. It's not like I think it looks bad, but I know that if I have something to compare it to, then all of a sudden it'll seem very obsolete.
We're obviously fans of the iPad. We host a show called iPad Today, but I think this is the first iPad to really live up to what the iPad wanted to be, which is, remember when it first came out, I was saying, it's a content consumption device like the Kindle Fire. It's for reading, looking, watching, but it's limited for creation. That has changed. And I really think that this is now a content creation device. I think we are finally, truly in a post-PC world. This is a more important product release maybe even than the original. Well, you can't say that, but this is very important. This is a major upgrade. And it puts Apple so far ahead of the competition. Nobody else has a Retina display. This is 263 pixels per inch. No computer, no TV, no tablet. The only thing that's got better display than this is the iPhone 4S and 4. So you're going to suddenly see a new standard, I believe, for what a display should look like that only Apple can do. And I think you're going to see it on Apple's new monitors, Apple's new laptops, Apple's new computers. And
well, it's not that only Apple can do it. It's just that they were first.
I think
so. It's something. It's a crown they can claim for a while.
And we talked about this on Windows Weekly. Why don't we see Windows tablets or other tablets or Android tablets with a Retina display? And you know what I think? What? Apple's got so much cash in the bank. I think they bought them all. No, I'm not kidding.
I'm laughing because it's true.
I think there's only
they don't even know what to do with all their cash.
There's only one factory, perhaps, or two that can make this, and they bought every single one that factory can make. So no one else can get one. And I think that advantage is going to persist for a little while, maybe a year, maybe less, maybe more. But that is a significant advantage. And I think the year of 2012 I believe this is a huge transformation. In the year 2012, people will look back and say, this was the year the iPad and the Retina display changed every kind of computing, including desktop. That's just my
Well, you know,
my
I
belief.
think that's more than Tim Cook could hope for, so...
It's more than he claimed. I'm kind of going overboard more than the Apple folks are, but I do think this is very big.
So, speaking of big, I know that you were not convinced that LTE would be part of the deal. Of course, you can get a Wi-Fi only iPad, as you've always been able to. In the past, it was Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi 3G with a choice of AT&T or Verizon. And now you still have the same choice between AT&T and Verizon, but on either one's LTE network if you choose to go with the data plan. I went with AT&T. You went with Verizon.
Yep. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's
You know, the truth is, you live in the city, so you get 4G on both in the city in San Francisco. Here in Petaluma, we get nothing. We get 3G. So it's crazy for me to buy an LTE Verizon. But I figure, hey, if I go somewhere where Verizon has far more cities with LTE, 150 plus.
It's true. Although, as far as I understand, AT&T's network, when you can get it, is faster.
Right.
I know it is with 3G.
Right.
So, you know, we'll have to compare and contrast when we go to Vegas or whatever. Then there's also the idea that Apple said you could make your iPad a hotspot.
Right.
You could.
Isn't that intriguing?
You could do that. But it's up to the carriers to allow you to turn that on or not.
And there was a dead silence from Verizon and AT&T at that point. If they were going to do it, they would have stood up and said, and we're going to offer you hot. No, I don't think. I'd be very surprised if you get hot spotting in the U.S. Maybe somewhere else.
Yeah.
Verizon is doing it for free.
Verizon's doing it for free.
Well,
Tom,
I
there it
guess
says from
I
the
made the
TNC set.
right choice there.
Well, fiddlesticks. AT&T
Really?
learn.
Really? Really?
AT&T will have to offer the same thing, won't they?
No, they won't. The real problem that AT&T is suffering is their network can't support it. And as you know, anybody who's using AT&T on an iPhone, it's just horrible. In San Francisco, in Vegas, everywhere I've gone, it's New York, it was unusable. Their network can't support it. So and Verizon's going to jump on this one. That's very, very interesting. Oh, in fact, apparently AT&T said no today. So I guess you can. You know what? You can use my hotspot. It's no problem.
Thank you, Leo. I appreciate that. You'll just have to go everywhere that I go. I hope you don't mind.
That sounds like fun.
So what about that A5X chip, huh? Dual core processor, quad core graphics. People don't seem to know the difference.
This is what I predicted.
Some people don't seem to know.
And the reason I predicted it is on a tablet where there's very limited multitasking, you don't need more than 2 cores. You only benefit from multiple CPUs if you're doing multiple things at the same time, or the software you're using can take advantage of it. 2 is plenty for a tablet. But because you're pushing 3.1 megapixels, you're pushing 4 times more dots on the screen, you need more graphics performance. And that's why this quad-core graphics engine, the GPU, is not only needed, it's going to make a big difference. And if you look at some of the demos that they're showing, and the demos they showed yesterday, it was amazing. I'll show you iPhoto on an iPad 2 a little later on, and you'll see the difference on an iPad new.
I know.
I don't know what to call it.
New iPad. That's what you have to say, at least for now.
It's much faster, and you do need that. And so I think they made. This is kind of what I thought they would do. They're competing against quad-core processors with the Tegra 3, but you saw the graph where the Tegra 3 is 1x, and the new A5X was something like 16x or 8x. So there was a significance in performance. So
they also had, they showed off 3 different apps, third-party apps, not made by Apple, that will take advantage of the new processor and are good examples of that, as well as the Retina display. Namco's Sky Gamblers, that's like a flight simulator app that's going to be out later in March. And then Infinity Blade Dungeons, I know Leo's excited about that one, as well as Sketchbook by Autodesk.
Yeah.
Those are both coming in April at some point.
Right.
The demos, at least, that we saw from the talk yesterday, we weren't able to watch live, but the video comes out afterwards, and there were a lot of stills. They look great, and those are exactly the kinds of games and tools that, of course, Apple would want to push forward and make sure that they had coming out of the gate, so people would say, "Awesome! I want apps that look like that.
Yeah.
I need this new iPad."
They need those apps because most existing apps will, of course, be half the resolution, just as we went from that iPhone to iPad jump where you doubled it, and You know, in most cases, doubling it looks fine. If it's text-heavy, doubling looks fine. But you really do want apps now designed for this newer resolution. All of Apple's apps are designed for this newer resolution.
Yes, in fact, exactly. It would be silly if they weren't. But it seems like, at least for many of the apps that are already running on the iPad, devs are going to have to do a little upgrading, but at least things like graphics will be up-resed automatically.
Right. Doubling the size looks fine.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of conversion.
It's the same thing. You already have seen it if you have an iPad when you use an iPhone app on it and you press that 2x button. It's exactly the same. It's not always great, but most of the time it looks pretty good. In fact, sometimes when you use something like Path, because Path puts good quality pictures in there, even though this is a 2x screen, it looks like it's a native iPad app. You know, if I go back, this is the normal size. You double it, it looks fine.
Yeah.
And text, of course, will automatically go to that next size. So I think that's what this is a very good example of what's going to happen if you use iPad 2 apps on the new iPad.
Exactly. So, all right. So after the break, we're going to get into a little bit more of iOS 5.1, some of the new apps that are available, what apps that Apple makes are improved, but we do have a bunch of links that will, at Apple right now, there are, if you go to apple.com, they've got the iPad splash page, but they've got all sorts of different areas of the iPad web pages from within Apple that will give you a lot more information. If there was anything that we talked about that you're a little bit unclear on, we'll have all those links in our show notes at twit.tv/IPT in episode 88. Palindrome episode! Yay! I didn't even notice that when I was putting together the show. So have no fear if all of this sounds a little bit overwhelming to you. We will not leave you hanging. So go there so that you can keep up with all these specs, because it can be very overwhelming, especially if you're still trying to figure out if you need a new iPad, if you're going to go LTE, what are your choices, how big should it be. I know how it goes. I went through all of that yesterday. And a quick reminder that if you're not watching us live, we record iPad Today, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. But if you miss us, don't worry, because you can still go to twit.tv/IPT and download previous shows, subscribe to future shows. You can watch us on demand, or you can watch us live, or you can listen to our audio feed, and then you won't see a whole lot, but you can at least kind of keep up on the show. If that's your bag, we don't mind. I'm done.
You know, we're really lucky. I have to acknowledge this, because we get to, it's a no-brainer, buy the new iPad, because that's what we do.
It's research.
So we have to.
I know.
And so we're really lucky. But I do think that we will help you on this show decide if it's for you. So we're going to talk about what's new, how it's different. And that's what this show really is going to be about. And so most people are not in the very envious position that we're in, that you can say, yes, we both have ordered our new iPads already.
Right. I mean, it's a no-brainer, because
we have to.
How could we not?
It's our job.
But there are people, they write us every day that say, I don't actually have an iPad yet, but I'm still interested.
Should I get? Well, Chad just said that. He said, right, you don't have an iPad. And so he's
a lot of first-gen iPads
out
there where, they don't even have a camera.
I'll tell you something. If you did not buy an iPad in 1 or 2, congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back. You did the right thing. You waited. This is the first, in my opinion, the first iPad that really lives up to its potential.
Really?
Yes.
Well, those are fighting words.
Well,
the nice thing is that the third-gen iPad, for $499, it's the same base price that the iPad 2 was, and it's a much better machine.
And that's what Apple has always done for the most part, and I love that. They make the thing better, but they don't raise the price. They don't lower it, but they don't raise it.
But the iPad 2 is lowered a bit.
$399.
And hey, let's
that's
not
pretty
forget
good
that
for an
a year
iPad
ago,
2.
we were pretty stoked on these things.
No kidding.
So.
Hey, you know what's going to look great on the new iPad? The GoToMyPC.
Oh, yeah.
This is exciting. So GoToMyPC is remote access that you put it on your computer at work, Mac or PC. It's for the desktop or the laptop. In fact, you can do that right now. Go to the website, GoToMyPC.com, and use the offer code iPad, and you can install it free for 30 days. Just put iPad right there in the promo code. And that'll give you 30 days unlimited use. But now here's the cool thing. Then go to your iPad or your iPhone and download their free app. And suddenly, now the iPad will have more resolution than your desktop at work, almost inevitably. That's going to be amazing. It means you're going to be able to see the full screen of your desktop exactly as it would look at work. A little smaller screen, but the same resolution. Wow. But on your iPhone even, it's going to look fantastic. And it means you have in your pocket the equivalent of your office computer. You could send and receive email, run any program, access any network resource. It is 128-bit SSL, so it's encrypted at all times. You do not need to open ports on the firewall at work. You don't even need IT support because of the NAT traversal built in. It really is a great product. Of course, it's from Citrix. They know what they're doing. And to have this on the iPad now and the iPhone means you don't have to carry a bulky computer anymore. Everything you could do on your office computer, run programs, access network resources, you could do on your iPad. Try it right now. Go to mypc.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the offer code iPad, and then do get the free version on the iPad. And now, they have not announced, because this is how Citrix works, they do not pre-announce products. So they haven't announced when they're going to do a new version pretty quick. All they have, it's an easy thing for them to do that will use all of the dots on that new iPad screen. That's going to be something. I am excited. Go to mypc.com, use the offer code iPad. Did you see this? I have a Rubik's Cube.
You are so random sometimes.
I know.
You really are.
I just brought a few toys.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I also have my
in case
Atari
you get
joystick.
bored during the show.
Sometimes
you can
the
play
show
some
gets
games.
really dull, and I feel like I'd want to play Star Raiders.
Droll. If I could describe iPad today in one word, it's droll.
Droll.
So we said that we were going to talk about iOS 5.1, which is out right now. You don't need a new gen anything. It's something that I've upgraded to on both my phone and my iPad too. And there are certain things that you'll notice right away. For example...
Giveth me an example.
I'm going to, Leo. I'm glad you want one.
Yes, please.
Now when you open the camera app, as I have... Okay, I'm looking at, I'm looking at the
This is
the
what
corner of
we
the
are
room.
staring at. While you're staring at us, we're
Right.
staring at...
Yeah, so there's...
Nothing.
Well, you don't...
See, you can't. You're stuck.
It's hard to do
You're
that.
stuck.
Okay, you're looking at a corner of...
Here,
this is
hand it
a
to me.
live image.
Hand it to me. I'll show you.
No,
Okay,
because
because
you
that
don't
could
know
be
what
on my
I'm gonna say.
camera, and then I could do that.
That's true.
I don't know what you're going to say.
So here's the
Sarah
deal.
does not share with me what she's going to say.
What do you notice that's different about where you might engage the shutter?
It's on the right.
That's correct.
And it's on the
And
right.
it's still on the right.
They
Why is it
fixed
on the
it.
right? Because when you're taking a picture or a video, this is much more natural than
Yes.
this, which is where it was before.
They
so
are really,
small
I'm telling
incremental
you.
change, but again, they want you to be comfortable using this for pictures and video.
We are moving towards that world where it will be completely commonplace for somebody to be holding a camera in their hands like this. And yeah, it looks dorky today, but I'm telling you, the ability to see, I just love it that we can see so clearly what we're taking a picture of. And with video especially, that's going to be great.
So it's all about feeling
Good-
comfortable as much as
good
possible.
move.
So again, small change. Wouldn't have thought of it myself, but makes perfect sense.
Anything else?
Yes, photos can now be deleted from PhotoStream.
Finally.
Hooray! PhotoStream, of course, is the way that through iCloud you can have a bunch of photos on your variety of
turning it back on.
iDevices.
I didn't use it because, how often do you accidentally take a picture of the ground or your foot or
It's
whatever?
just something unflattering where you're like, oh, I don't want
and
that
I
to
don't
ever
want
go
that
anywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you can do
hallelujah.
that now. You know what's funny?
Turning it back on.
A little amusing anecdote. I could not figure out why my PhotoStream images from my iPhone were not showing up on my iPad. Try as I might, all of my settings were correct, and I realized, and this is confusing, and this might apply to some of you guys too. I've got a me.com account.
Yeah.
I've got a SarahLane.com account.
That is
I've got
confusing.
my TWiT account, which is what I use for the App Store.
Right.
And they weren't all the same account. I
Yeah.
thought that they were.
No.
But they weren't.
You have to sign up for all the accounts. So I'm going to take a picture here of you making a face. That's a good picture. And I'm going to put that on my photo stream. Now, I
Good.
took that on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And it'll be on the, in fact, when I do the demo of iPhoto, it should be in there.
Right. And then if for whatever reason I object or you say that's so hideous I can
I
never
can
look at it
finally
again.
delete it.
You can delete it and it'll delete everywhere.
I have a million photos of, I'm just dying to delete. Like the two I just
Of
took.
me.
Yeah.
Actually, because I'm always sitting here and I'm the subject. So there's that. There is optimized audio for TV and movies when listening on the iPad. Now, with these speakers, and by the way, the speakers in the new iPad are totally the same.
That's disappointing.
As far as we know.
Because the iPad 1 had stereo left and right speakers, and they cheesed out and they put one little tiny speaker, and that's disappointing, but I guess you'll listen on headphones.
Well, it's kind of how you make it thinner and lighter, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's optimized audio, at least when you're using regular headphones. And then there's also, this is kind of cool for podcast listeners who listen to a lot of podcasts, at least via stuff that you would get from iTunes, not necessarily third-party apps, because they already have this, a 30-second rewind handy button for podcasts. It's not something that was native in iOS before. I find that absolutely a lifesaver all the time, where I'll go, wait, what did they say? Da-da-da. And you can do 30 seconds and then, or press it a couple times and just get the last minute again. So a lot of small incremental changes that just make sense. For anybody who's using Siri on a 4S, Siri actually has now been updated to include Japanese language. Siri will understand Japanese commands.
It's really
and
interesting
questions.
how Apple has suddenly decided that China and Japan are big markets.
Well, and
they're
not
right.
a moment too soon.
Yeah, they're absolutely right. But it's I find that fascinating. Mountain Lion, of course, has big Chinese localization, and that's huge as well.
It's funny, when you said that, I imagined a mountain lion, galloping along the Great Wall.
You're supposed to.
Oh, yeah, mountain lion.
You're supposed to.
Right. It's so powerful.
evocative.
Rawr.
Yeah.
I've been watching too much Game of Thrones, which, by the way, is available on HBO for anybody like me who doesn't get HBO.
iTunes
and
has
is
it
very
now.
jealous. It's now on iTunes.
iTunes has it now,
If you
yeah.
want to spring for the season pass, it's really good. I know I'm the last person to know, but
Yeah, it's kind of been out for a
It's
year.
pretty good. Well,
In
the
fact,
new
the next
season
one's
is about
coming.
to start,
All right.
so then I'll get behind again. But it's for now. Remember when you were watching the first 3 episodes? It was a lot of fun.
It's really good. It's a great show. Yeah, love it.
Okay, so the new iPhoto is on the software side the biggest story,
Yeah.
because
They spent a lot of
first all, there
time on
wasn't an
stage.
iPhoto.
Right. Which shocked me. I thought there was. So all there
Because
ever
you have so many different photo apps, but nothing from Apple itself.
No, all there ever was photos. So that was basically a gallery application where you'd see pictures that you had. And in a way, iPhoto looks kind of like this. So this is the Photos app.
Mm-hmm.
You had the photo stream, you had the albums, you have faces and places. There was a lot of functionality, but iPhoto adds even more. And I would say that the biggest difference in the new iPhoto is that it adds photo editing. So by the way, this looks really good, doesn't it? I just feel pretty good. There's the photo stream. There's the camera roll. That's the local photos. And then here's an album that I made of the last 12 months. So these pictures are all here. Let's take a look at some of the new things that you can do. There's Jammer B in our party bus. Remember when we were going down to see Super 8? This is Santa Monica Pier. So these are all, old photos. So now I can do some things. For instance, I can press the edit button, and I'm going to say, let's edit this. And there's quite a bit down. This is, in some ways, Apple's response to Photoshop Touch, right? Here's the crop feature.
And by the way, at least as of now, and I expect this to change, iPhoto can manipulate and export up to 19 megabyte photo files. Photoshop Plus cannot.
Can't. Much smaller.
Yeah, so that's something that they can update and push out to the App Store. But now they really have to, because why would you choose a less of a resolution if you're bringing in really nice photos?
This is a neat app. This is kind of a curves app. They don't have any names for these, but you see you can adjust the dynamic range and the center point, and you can actually take a picture and make it look quite dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
With something like that.
I mean, iPhoto is, I agree with you. I played around with it a little bit, and it's like, I wish there was some...
I don't know what to call these
some pop-up
things.
titles a little bit. I even noticed that Colin on Twitter was saying, does anyone know, but he took a picture of one of the tools. Does anyone know what this does?
Right.
I don't know what it does.
Right.
So once you get used to it, there is a lot that this could... Look how much better that picture looks already.
Yeah, I mean, it really, truly does. Now, I'm not sure what I'm doing here.
Well, you're on saturation.
Yeah, so I'm repairing, so now I can repair this. I want to take the graffiti off this wall here.
Yeah, that's a shoddy paint job. Oh! Oh!
Is that pretty funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, graffiti. I wish it were so easy to remove in the future.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Someday, all graffiti will be this easy to take off.
That's so cool.
Isn't that funny?
I love it.
So that's it's a little weird, but that's the repair tool. I'm sure if I spent some more time with it, I could do something more interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean we've had less than I didn't realize this was. I thought we were going to have to wait for next gen iPad. I thought that this was just because it could handle better resolution, that this wasn't actually something that everyone could get. But no, it's available now.
So these are filters. I've chosen the filter, the vintage filter strip, and so you could choose different filters. So if you've been using Camera Plus, I know a lot of you have, these, you'll see these effects are very similar to those kinds of Camera Plus filters without the cute names, but this is going to end up being a very powerful tool as soon as we can figure out how the hell it works.
Well, and I think that this version of iPhoto, at least from what I have seen so far, is a little bit closer to it is a serious image editing program for sure. It's not it's not a little toy that doesn't do a lot. It is very robust. That said, it's got some of the features that I think are really hot right now. Camera Plus type stuff, people who are really into Instagram. iPhoto is giving them the same tools in a program that has more to it, and then you can export to Flickr. I mean, it's for serious photos.
This was
rather
something
than,
that blew me away.
Cropping some hipstery
Let me pick
photos.
something with some sky in it. You might have seen them do this on the thing. I can make the sky more blue.
Oh, I love it.
Or less blue.
Yeah.
Is that wild?
Totally. Well, because
it knows it's the sky, so it doesn't change anything else.
What's interesting, I tried this with a picture that had some sky, but not that much. And you need like a good amount of sky.
Right.
But then again, you wouldn't want to change the sky in a little area because it's changing the hue.
Right.
So it's super fun to play with. You can do the same thing with skin tones. If the skin tones are weird in a picture.
That's these people here, this button here. I don't know what the trowel is. I guess it's grass. And then there's this rainbow effect, which lets you change the saturation. I have to say, this is you're going to have fun playing with it. And you're right. Look how much better I've made this picture just by some of these tools. And the fact that such a great camera is going to be built into this means that you're going to be able to take pictures and immediately modify them. Of course, we didn't show this yet, but you can also share them. There's a journal feature, which I'll talk about in a second, camera roll, iTunes, email, beam it to another device, another iDevice. I presume that's what beam means. Maybe it's to Apple TV, Twitter, Flickr, Facebook, and you can make a slideshow. This journal app is very interesting because what it allows us to do, you can enter a journal name here, my day in Santa Monica, and what are you laughing at?
I'm just,
And I can add some other pictures to it. What you could do is, with one picture, I'm not doing it. I should pick some more pictures. But now it's a journal.
You can
arrange
pictures,
them.
You can choose like weather.
Oh yeah,
where you were on a map. By the way, they're not using Google Maps. They're using
I noticed that.
OpenStreetMap.
Yeah,
which is
they don't want to use anything Google anymore.
Well, Apple's trying to get away from Google, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit messy.
So here's what I can add: a header, text, note, page, food, quote. Whoops, I added a map, and I'll have to zoom in on that map and pick it. And by the way, you saw that you can also size it. You can move it around. It's almost, there's a little bit of a Pinterest quality in this journal. Because you can put a bunch of pictures together with little, it's like, we were in Santa Monica that day, wasn't it nice? Yeah. What the weather was like, little snippets. It is very much like a scrapbooky type of a thing. And then you can save that to iCloud and share with folks and access them anywhere. And that for families or events or trips to wine country, or you get the idea. This can really come in handy. You just have to want to put a little bit more effort into it than emailing a few photos. And by the way, iPhoto has a great share functionality. Chad, if you want to show my screen for a second, not only can I add this photo of these box of chocolates that I ate in like 5 minutes one day, I can add it to one of my journals or my camera roll, or I can beam it. That looks like a Wi-Fi logo, but it's actually Beam, which is an easy ability for me to beam to your iPad or an iPhone. That's what the Beam is to another iOS device. Okay. Yeah, you can, as long as we're on the same Wi-Fi network. Print, you have to have a wireless printer. But then you got a Facebook button. And we've been talking about how
Apple wants to get away from Facebook because Facebook and Apple, I don't know, they were in talks back some time to get Facebook integrated into iOS, and now it's kind of Twitter's their darling. But there's a nice Facebook integration here too, which makes perfect sense. For an album in iPhoto, people want to put albums on Facebook.
Right.
That's where people share a lot of their photos, even more than Flickr, I would say, these days. So that's very helpful as well. This is a great program. I don't want to say that it's better than Photoshop Touch because it's different, but I think that it will be a joy for a lot of people who aren't already married to a certain photo app to get to know and to edit your photos. Because you don't really have to take that great of photos anymore. You can just make them better in post-processing if you're okay with that sort of thing.
So I'm just adding more to my journal here. This is so much fun. I can't stop.
You can't stop.
Working with the journal. My day in Santa Monica. So let me just show you at all. Okay. Now let's show the journal. So I've added the weather. I've added the date. I've added more pictures. And this is really cool. You press and hold. Oops, I have to go to edit. Let me go back to the journal. Go to edit. Now you press and hold, and you can drag these around.
Nice.
And now you see this is actually pretty snappy on an iPad too. This will be really snappy on an iPad.
Because this is pretty...
You're moving a lot of pictures. If you filled this up,
intensive.
you would have a very elaborate thing. Now, I did all this while you were talking, and I can now share it, which is just, I think, just fantastic. I think this is a really exciting technology.
That's so great.
And to have a good camera, and then this... I just, we said it's not a content creation device. It is now.
iPhoto, a couple years ago, MG made me this, like a physical book that he put together through iPhoto because its capability that they'll let you sort of create a book and then have it printed and sent to somebody.
Yep.
And I mean, it was one of the nicest things I've ever gotten. This is the same idea. You won't be making journals probably every day, but for special occasions and situations where you really know the recipient is going to get a lot out of it, it's fun. It's fun to make. And, you didn't spend that much time on it. It already looked pretty cool.
Well worth the $5 for. And by the way, I think when you buy it, I should check. You get it for iPhone and iPad as well. It's available for both, and I believe it's universal. So, boy, it is really a must-buy, especially when you get the new. If you get the new iPad, I think you'll love it.
So iPhoto is completely new.
Very impressed.
But then two other apps in the iLife family, iPhoto and GarageBand, have both also gotten updates.
Yep.
iMovie, I guess the biggest one is that you can now shoot native video that looks really good that you will then edit in iMovie on the same device. So 1080p video, bring it right in. You can also create a song in GarageBand and send it directly to iMovie. That was possible before, but it was clunkier. There's now just a nice little, one-step trick. And they've got some sort of nifty creation tools, like creating your own movie trailers with built-in graphics, which I don't know if I'll do that more than once. But again, I think it's geared towards kids and family stuff.
This was available on the desktop. They also have the ability to do a shot list before you go out. So if you're really making a movie with your new iPad, knowing what you need to shoot first, you could put that on the iPad, shoot it on the iPad, edit it on the iPad, make a trailer on the iPad, and then upload it on the iPad. That's amazing. You will get, I'm looking on my updates. I don't know if you've looked on your updates yet, but GarageBand, all the iWork suite and iMovie all are being updated right now in the Apple Store. So if you already have purchased these, you'll get the new versions of the apps automatically.
They're all upgraded to make the best use of Retina display. GarageBand also, it's almost got like a rock band thing going on where up to 4 people can connect either via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth and jam together in real time.
This I find fascinating.
Yeah,
now, I was
sync
mocked
to the same
on Mac.
Key and tempo.
I was mocked on Mac Break Weekly when I said this is incredible.
I didn't mock you.
Well, somebody said, well, that's dorky. No musicians are going to sit around, 4 of them
Well, it's not for musicians.
iPads.
It's for people without talent who want to have some fun.
I think even musicians might find this very intriguing. I think this is really...
I guess my point is that this is a tool.
It's for everybody.
You're going to have some fun.
It's for everybody.
You can stay in the
Look
same
at this.
key as
You're
your
all going to make
friends.
music. I mean, forget Rock Band. This is Guitar Hero. You're playing real-ish instruments, on-screen instruments, together, making real music.
Yeah, and you can record
I've always wanted to be able to jam with my friends, but I don't play an instrument. Now I can.
Well, and
listen to this.
Yeah. Oh, well, just
is that not fun?
I don't know.
Is that not fun? Real fake music created on your real fake instrument. Wow.
So that's cool. And if you're the person who starts, they call them the band leader. You start the session, then that's automatically recording to your device in real time. So when you're all done and you're like, that actually sounded really cool, you guys, then you can listen back and share it, and it's good fun.
March 16th, when our iPads arrive, you know the very first thing we're doing.
Jam session.
We're going to have a jam session.
Obviously. Obviously.
Of course.
That's a no.
We're trying to decide what to do next week about iPad today because we won't have the new iPads because we shoot the show Thursday. They come out the next day.
That's correct. And that show before Friday the 16th is just like a nail-biting anticipation.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
So I think we should
figure something out.
Shoot it on Friday. We were thinking of getting in line at the Apple Store, but it doesn't look like. Well, certainly for the pre-orders, they were not doing it for pickup. You could only get it shipped.
Yes.
So I don't know what kind of event it's going to be at the Apple Store.
Which is too bad because I would have loved to go in first thing in the morning so that we know for sure that we have them here on Friday afternoon. Now we're at the mercy of UPS.
So if you like to watch live, watch our calendar at twit.tv.
Yes.
We'll make a modification of the calendar. I'm saying we should probably just do this next Friday.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, why not at least give us a chance to
and then
unbox live?
We can have our jam band for you.
Yeah, you guys won't want to miss that.
You want to be in our jam band?
I know, that's why you watch the show, for the singing and the music.
I'm just like the new iPhoto is making me excited on the iPad too. I think that you're going to be doing a lot of creation with this new iPad. That is something that's really changed, really, really changed. It was always a slog. You had to get a Bluetooth keyboard stuff. That's another feature, by the way, that we were talking a little bit about yesterday. They didn't put Siri in the new iPad. Maybe a little bit of a disappointment, but they did put more voice dictation. The keyboard now has a microphone on it, and anywhere you would type text, you could press that microphone. That, I think, is also a response to the idea that, typing on an iPad isn't great. Who wants to carry around an extra keyboard? Hey, if you could do good quality dictation, maybe you don't need a keyboard.
Dictation I'm not sold on yet. I always end up hitting the microphone on my iPhone by accident and whatever. Okay, so I just have to get more used to it. But then again, if you've got a Bluetooth keyboard that you can hook up to your iPad, in those moments that you don't have a laptop, which I still prefer for typing, absolutely, and you don't want to be speaking out loud, that's also a good good alternative.
We can do the new GarageBand jam session on an iPad too?
Oh, really?
Update your GarageBand. Maybe we could play ourselves out.
I just didn't realize.
I didn't realize that either. That's exciting.
Well, but we're not going to play ourselves out yet because we have more things to talk about.
Much more to talk about.
We do.
We're hardly done yet.
One of us
Can I go home?
One of us would like to be done.
No.
I'm not going to say who.
No, we haven't even done the app caps. We got lots more to do.
That's true.
Should we take a break now?
Yeah.
All right, and mention Squarespace. I am, we do our inside.twit.tv blog on Squarespace, and it's great. You cannot bring it down. I could, with great confidence, send people to inside.twit.tv and know that site is not going to go down, no matter how many hundreds of thousands of you visit it all at the same time.
We dare you to try.
I wish I could say the same thing for Apple's store yesterday.
It took me 4 hours.
Me too.
It's like I was,
Finally got it.
It was your money, but I was plunking down a lot of money.
The funniest
thing
really
hard.
is the shot. I would keep getting oops. Like it failed right at the end. And what I didn't know is that I was, in fact, adding something to the shopping cart each time. So when I finally got in, I had purchased 22 Apple TVs.
You didn't purchase them.
I backed out.
You were able to remove them from your cart. That's why it took so long, because the same thing happened to me.
How many iPads? You can only buy two.
At one point, I was $3,000 in the hole, where you would have been, because I had like a 16, a 32, and a 64 in various colors. Just wanted the one. Just the one.
Anyway, that doesn't happen with a Squarespace site, and I wish Apple would start using Squarespace. Squarespace.com. Well, you can for your next website, your blog, if you're a photographer for your portfolio or an artist, if you sell things for e-commerce, Squarespace is the fast and easy way to make an incredibly good-looking website or blog. The UI, the user interface for creating and managing, couldn't be simpler. literally, you pick a template, and they have a bunch of new templates, 2 brand new templates, 13 redesigns, 85 new style options. You literally can use your mouse to point and click, drag and drop to design it. But if you know CSS, of course, you can do anything you want. In fact, they have a new CSS editor that pops out the entire window in full screen, colorizes the code, has undo, find, and replace. So it's really designed for pros as well as people like me who don't know what the hell we're doing. There is an iPhone, iPad, and Android app, so you can post to your blog. You can do stats. You can moderate comments. They have added, customers have asked for, and this is one of the things I love about Squarespace. They're very responsive. Customers have asked for the Google Web Font Library. That's there too. In fact, if you go to squarespace.com, you'll notice some pretty sweet fonts. There are 300 fonts that are all completely compatible with every browser. So you get to make a site. This is one of the things that made websites all look kind of the same. Where we only had 5 or 6 fonts we could choose from. Now you've got 300. A great support team with 24/7 support and workshops at workshops.squarespace.com with free live classes to help you get the most out of your Squarespace site. For blogging, for forms, for Flickr, for Twitter, for Google Maps. I tell you, you got to go there. Go to squarespace.com right now. Click the green Try It Free button and start playing with it. You got 2 weeks with absolutely no cost. And then if you decide to buy, we got a special deal for you. iPad Today 3 will give you 30% off for your first 3 months. You don't need an offer code until you decide to buy, but when you do, just remember iPad Today and the number 3 for the month of March, and for 30% off for 3 months. Squarespace.com, the secret behind exceptional websites. I went kicking and screaming, but I finally decided to move my Leoville site off WordPress. I felt like I needed to know WordPress, but there were so many security flaws.
You going over to Squarespace?
Yeah.
Oh, thank gosh. I didn't want to say anything, but
well,
you needed a refresh.
I asked Anthony if I could try Squarespace 6, and he's going to let me do that. So,
all right, this is exciting.
They do these responsive designs, so that basically it looks the same on an iPhone, an iPad, or a computer desktop. Actually, nowadays we have to do iPhone, desktop, or iPad because the iPad has more resolution than the desktop. But doesn't matter. Your site responds, knows how many pixels, and uses it intelligently. There's just so many things they've done with the new one. I cannot wait to get on that.
I cannot wait to see the more beautiful Leoville.
Oh, Leoville looks like it was designed in 1998, which it was. So
that's fine.
I did it all myself.
But it's time for it. You're gonna love it. I've been using Squarespace for years.
Your site, Sarah Lane, is on there. Yeah,
it is, and I don't blog that often, but I have so many dynamic widgets
that it's always up to date.
That it's a living, breathing organism, and it works perfectly well for me. And I love those guys. They're awesome. We got quite a few emails and tweets and all sorts of stuff from you guys, so we'll just try to get through a few because we don't have too much time for viewer feedback. But obviously, many of you who watch iPad Today were following along with us for Apple's big announcement yesterday, and there are a lot of questions coming in. Paul Rubin, who is a computer coordinator at a school, said, I have an AT&T iPad 2 and a Verizon iPhone 4S. Me too. That's exactly what I have. When I get the new iPad, how do I decide Verizon versus AT&T? Both claim 4G, and AT&T claims to have it at home, so it would ordinarily be a no-brainer, but I think AT&T's coverage map counts everything as 4G, including HSPA or something along those lines.
It does.
And that's not really 4G, right?
That's one of the things that I was really mad about when they did the 5.1 iOS upgrade on the iPhone. They changed the symbol on the iPhone to 4G. We all thought, we're getting 4G now? No, it's HSPA+, not LTE 4G. None of this is true 4G. 4G is supposed to be 100 megabit downloads. Nothing in the U.S. is 4G.
No one's getting that.
So it's all a lie. But the LTE is faster, probably better. I'll tell you one thing that might decide you. AT&T says we are not going to throttle, and we will honor those people who have AT&T unlimited contracts on their iPad.
That's me.
So
I have that.
That's the good news, is you should stay with AT&T because you'll be able to transfer your contract over. You'll stay unlimited, and they say we're not going to throttle the iPad.
I am
extremely
surprised by that.
I am too.
I thought that this would be a great excuse for them to say, oh, no, this is a different network. Those grandfathered plans can't carry over.
I don't know what's going to happen on LTE.
What were you talking about?
Just, moving to AT&T. I don't know. Tom, what are they going to do with LTE?
They haven't said.
They haven't said.
You're just making stuff up.
No,
You
I'm
got me
not. They
excited
said
for
they're
no
not going to
reason.
throttle, and that's good. And I don't know if that means they're not going to throttle on 3G and LTE.
Yeah.
But you will be able to at least move that over. So that would be a compelling reason to stay with AT&T on your iPad.
Well, it's part of the reason that I have so far because it's worked out well for me.
AT&T LTE is in only about 25 markets right now. Verizon's LTE is in 150 markets right now.
They're well ahead.
But it doesn't matter how many markets, if it's in your market or not, is what
Right.
really matters.
Unless you travel a ton.
Right. And, well, look at the coverage map and find out if it's in the areas that you go to. And LTE is better, I don't care what anybody says, than HSPA+. So, if you're looking for the highest speed data on your iPad, you're going to want to go where there's LTE, whether it's Verizon or AT&T. If it's both, probably AT&T, right? Because it's somewhat faster.
AT&T has, so in San Francisco where I live, AT&T is awful.
That's my problem.
Because it cuts in and out, though. If you're in a place where
there's too many people using it.
You're outside in a park, and AT&T and Verizon next to each other have full bars.
Right.
AT&T's data will be faster. It just is. But Verizon has better coverage. So
Right.
yeah, it's not there. There is not one answer that we can give because it depends on. If you have problems with these networks or you've used Verizon before and you have horrible customer service and you won't go back, all that stuff needs to be taken into account as well as how good your coverage is and how much you
So
can
having said
spend.
that, I bought Verizon.
I went AT&T. So we're going to have a showdown.
Yeah. But I also have
A
an
data
AT&T
down.
iPhone.
I have a Verizon.
I'm like you, but I'm flip-flopped.
yeah,
So.
because you get one of each and then you can do a little,
and
little
if
comparison.
if my iPhone doesn't work, I'll just ask to use yours. Since I am following you around everywhere you go from now on.
Well, it's funny. Every so often when I'm running a little late, I hope that you're looking to see where I am on Find My Friends.
You're the
Because
only
you'll see
person.
me on the freeway.
You're my only
inching
friend.
closer. It's like I don't need to call. You can just check my status.
I didn't even think of that.
Well, you should. You should. That's what it's for.
Where have I put Find My Friends? Oh, yeah, I buried it on the last page.
It's so helpful. Nobody uses it. I'm the only
Nobody.
one. I'm the only one.
You and I are.
Dave in Neptune, New Jersey, and Tom, too. I know where he is all the time. Says, why no Siri capabilities on the new iPad? Kind of disappointed. So we talked a little bit earlier in the show about why.
We didn't talk about why.
Well,
We said it
we have
wasn't.
theories.
I do have a theory why.
Go ahead.
Do you want to hear it, or do you want to give me your theory?
No, I want to hear yours. Dave does, too. That is a good theory. It makes so much more sense. Of course.
I think it's because, to be honest, I don't think Siri works all that well on the iPhone 4S. At least half the time, when I make a Siri query, Siri says, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you right now." It's very apologetic. But the real frustrating thing is the dictation. Sometimes I'll dictate, 3 or 4 sentences, a paragraph, and then it'll come back with nothing. And I've stopped using it. I don't use it that much anymore because it needs to be 100%.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And not having it be 100% means that I'm kind of not a big fan. So it's clear that Apple doesn't have enough server capacity, or maybe Siri doesn't work quite right. But in either case, I don't think they really wanted to take the chance of expanding it. This iPad, we had a little bet going on Mac Break Weekly about how many the new iPad would sell. And the range was anywhere in the first week from 8 million to 25 million.
I think I said 20, which, by the way, not even going to be close. 20 million in a week?
Well, they
That's
sold
not
15 million last quarter.
Right.
But I do think there's a lot of demand for this. What did I say, 15, 10?
I
said
don't
a
remember.
large number, too. Whatever, that's a lot of new people all at once using Siri. And Siri still doesn't work on the iPhone 4S. Of course they're not going to put it on the iPad.
Yeah.
Can it handle it? Yes. Will they do it? Someday. But not yet.
I think they want it to be more stable first. I know Andy Anatko on Mac Break yesterday said, I just don't think this is the...
I disagree with him.
I do too, respectfully, that he said, this is not for asking Siri things. Siri
Yes, it is.
But the thing is, well, it didn't used to be for taking pictures either.
Right.
And now we're going to be doing that. I mean, people are going going to be holding your iPads up for a variety of reasons. I think if Siri was rock solid, it would be on iPad new.
If there's one thing in my mind that's clear about Apple's strategy from this launch, is that they want that iPad to be the device. The device. Do it. Use it for everything. Everything. They don't care if they stop selling MacBooks. They don't care if they stop selling desktops. They do care if they stop selling iPhones, probably, but this isn't a phone. Mm-hmm. They want you to do everything. This is your new computer, and that's how Apple's positioning it. So anything that they would put on it, that you would put on your desktop, they're going to want it there. And I think Siri will be there absolutely eventually, as it will be on the desktop.
It's Apple's goal to have less of, well, I need my laptop for that. My iPad does most things, but I can't do X as well as I could do on my laptop. They're not there yet, but they're doing their best to close the gap. We got a really good, speaking of video, taking video on your iPad, Chris Sellers wrote in a really good tidbit about why it's not as weird or pointless as you might think. He says he was watching MacBreak Weekly yesterday, and we were all kind of talking about whether people even use iPads for video and how's that going to work. It's a little silly. He says, my daughter plays junior Olympic volleyball, and at our last tournament, there were 4 parents on our team alone that were recording the matches with their iPads. Between matches, the coach would sit down with the girls individually and replay parts of the game and show them things that they needed to correct. The coach could then easily pause, rewind, etc. Recording on the iPad cuts out all the hassle of having to transfer the video from other devices to something you could play easily in front of a group. So even though it does look silly, it has its uses. That's awesome. That makes perfect sense. What a good use case.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. So everybody said, well, you don't need a good camera on the iPad because you have an iPhone, you shoot the video on the iPhone. Think of what it takes to get the video or stills from this iPhone to this iPad. You have to get the camera connection kit. Mm-hmm. You have to connect it up a USB, or you buy software and it's really slow. But the fastest way, you connect up a USB key to your camera connection kit and you transfer it over, or you wait till PhotoStream gets the still over, or you buy special software that lets you do that. That's goofy.
Totally.
It should all be on the iPad. And you can bean.
Here.
They said you can bean it.
Beam.
Oh, beam?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense.
It's not like a legume.
I thought they were...
Bean me.
I thought there was a bean going back and...
Pinto bean me.
It's like the new packet.
Fava me.
Fava me. Fava me with a bean.
Ooh, love fava beans. I also love you guys. We love hearing from you. So thank you to everybody who wrote in. We will get to more of your questions, comments, all the new iPad stuff next week, because we'll have a whole new show, and hopefully we'll have our iPads here to answer more questions. I know right now it's all abuzz with what's new, what's different. Are we happy? Are we overwhelmed?
I want to thank the chat room because, remember, our question was, how do you figure out what these buttons do? He says, hit the question mark. Oops, now it's updating my library again. Here we go. Hit the question mark, and it tells you what all those buttons are.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Once
In fact,
again, Apple...
it even gives you some information.
Apple knows what we want more than we do.
Yeah.
Here we thought you'd have to... I don't know what we thought.
So I actually like that because they're not in the way once you learn them, but if you can't remember them, you can quickly see. This is great. Touch and hold with 2 fingers to use the magnifying loop. You might look at that and say, what the hell is that? It's one of the pictures I would like to delete from my photo stream.
Yeah,
That's
it's
my
awful.
hand.
It looks like a stomach.
It's terrible.
It's awful.
My hand.
It's really gross.
But it's kind
of neat. It's sort of. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna go there. But I will tell you to write us iPadtoday@twit.tv if you're like, how do I email you anyway? That's how. You can also leave us a voicemail. Our Google Voice number is 757-504-IPAD or 757-504-4723. You can send us a video, upload it somewhere, email us the link, whatever you want to do. We love getting your feedback, your questions, your comments. So keep them coming. I'm going to get my app cap ready while you tell all the good people at home why Slingbox is the best thing since sliced bread.
Okay, but one more iPhoto thing. It's auto enhanced. Watch. So here's a picture. I like this picture a lot. I took it on my iPhone 4S of the lobby at the Bellagio, I think that is. The auto enhanced button. And it just makes everything pops. This is also, by the way, did you know Instagram has updated? Path has upgraded, and they have a new button called POW.
No, I didn't.
POW. The POW button does the same thing as that. POW. Anyway, time to talk about Slingbox. Slingbox is so cool. It takes your iPad and turns it into a portable television set. You may say, well, yeah, I mean, I can watch, old Game of Thrones. No, you can watch the big game. You can watch the nightly news. You could watch the Super Bowl, the Academy Awards. You can watch live TV on your iPad. How do you do it? Slingbox. Simple. You get a Slingbox. You can get them at Best Buy, Amazon, or at slingbox.com, and you bring it home. And you plug in. It's a pass-through device. You plug in all of your home theater stuff: your satellite box, your cable box, your DVR, your Blu-ray player, your DVD player, whatever you've got. You plug it into the back there, and then one other plug. You plug in your Ethernet from your internet, and now you have put your home theater system on the internet. Password protected, so only you can see it. See all those pass-throughs in the back? This is so cool because it means you're going to be able, literally, you're going to be able to watch anything you can watch in your home TV. You can even control the DVR, set it for playback, set it for record. Slingbox is amazing. I want you to check it out. It lets you watch your home TV anywhere. No other system lets you do this. And by the way, no additional subscription cost because you already paid for your home TV, so it's just giving you access to something you already have. Visit slingbox.com to find out more, or go to Best Buy or Amazon and get yourself a Slingbox. Slingbox.com/twit. It really is the best gadget for the iPad ever invented. Now it's App Cap time.
Oh, you look like that guy from that movie that is hacking into my stuff.
I'm anonymous.
Oh. So you're not just one person. You're like a decentralized network of
everywhere.
people.
I'm everybody.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm afraid of you. And I hope to stay on your good side.
You'd better.
You look really good like that.
I know.
You're a nice Guy Fawkes.
I know. I'm a good Guy Fawkes.
You are. Well, that's the funny thing about those masks is they're very pleasant. You look like you're
They're
happy.
happy. It's a happy hacker.
You're happy and smiling.
It wasn't hacker. It came from V for Vendetta, the movie, and I think it's kind of cool, isn't it?
Well, that's where,
This is my app cap.
Can come from.
And
there,
I'm proud of it.
Well, I feel that it's good to be queen.
God, you look good in that.
Thank you. Yeah, royalty suits me.
It does. It's a natural.
Game of Thrones. I'm on a queen kick. What can I say? So this app was actually, before we knew that there was going to be an Apple announcement yesterday, I thought, oh, well, this Thursday, Show 88 will be a good South by Southwest, what to know before you go type of a thing. We did that last year because we were both going. I'm still going tomorrow. And this app, which is called Getaround, which, by the way, is one of those iPhone apps. Yeah, that's where that came from.
Yep.
It's an iPhone app that works just fine on the iPad. Is the idea of, it's almost a little bit like a zip car, but instead of you renting a car for an amount of time from a company, which is how Zipcar works, you are renting a individual's car for an amount of time when, let's say, there's someone like me who, I don't drive on the weekends.
Right.
I drive so much during the week that my car is parked in my garage, not in use, Saturday and Sunday. I could be renting my car out on Getaround so that I could be making money off of somebody who needs to go to the grocery store and just use it.
Oh, so it's just somebody who said you can use my car.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
that would be handy if you wanted to get around and nobody would know you're getting around, and maybe you wanted to drive somewhere and be somewhere and didn't want anybody to know it was you.
Works really well in metropolitan areas where not everybody has a car. Parking's hard. It's a hassle, but you do need a car every once in a while. You got to go to the grocery store.
What? That can't be.
Well, that's in San Francisco. It's not
91 cars in the city.
Yeah, so if I click on a car here, I can get more information. It's a 2000 Toyota Echo, $7.25 an hour. Marissa, what are you laughing at?
I'm sorry.
Now,
I may want to be anonymous, but I'm not driving a 2000 Toyota Echo around.
Well, we're not all so snobby, but let's say that you like the idea of a 2003 Porsche Boxster a little bit more. For $15 an hour, you can borrow this one, and so on. So some of it has a little bit to do with the type of car.
I like the Altima,
maybe you're thinking of buying one and you want to try one out. Sometimes people just want the cheapest car possible. Let's go with the Prius, $7 an hour. I only need it for $3.
Good deal.
So, I'm going to end up spending just over $20. The reason that this ties into South by Southwest is that they just launched in Austin. So they're not available in just any old city. They're available in certain cities as of this time, but Austin is the newest city. So for anybody going, Taxi cabs can be a hassle in Austin. You know, if you're not right next to the convention center, Austin's pretty spread out. You can end up walking quite a bit.
Are you going to do this?
The blocks are long.
How come they don't have an Uber cab in Austin? They should.
They have pedicabs.
They
just
do.
don't- they don't
Uber
have a
was there last year. They rented all the pedicabs.
Right.
Yeah.
Uber is going into cities where they're going to get the most bang for their
Right.
buck. So
Yeah.
I think the rest of the year, Austin maybe isn't quite there yet, although they will be there eventually. Something like Getaround is great for, let's say I've got 3 free hours on Sunday and I want to go out to Salt Lick. How am I going to get there? I don't want to take a cab all the way out of town. I just want to rent a car for a couple of hours.
Can you put like on there, you can rent my car, but you can't drive it to a barbecue? Because I really wouldn't want it to be all smoky and greasy.
Wow,
after.
I know this guy. That is so weird.
You
He's
know
got
that guy?
He's got a nice car.
Red Snodgrass?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, Red.
$15, you get a 2011 Mercedes C350?
$15 an hour.
What
Yeah,
is he,
man.
nuts?
Kind of. Well, the thing is that no,
So
I don't.
what
know.
is the deal? I mean, if somebody just says, see you later, do you,
Yeah, there's insurance. And
There's insurance,
That's the
okay.
whole thing with Getaround is like it's not just like a person-to-person service where they can't hold any of the blame. Almost like Airbnb, you have to
Right.
get involved if something goes wrong.
You're right.
But in a perfect world, these are honest people who are trying to make some extra money with a car that would just be sitting there otherwise
Wow.
for someone who needs it. So Getaround now in Austin, and it'll be there after South by Southwest ends. So anybody who's in the area, take advantage of it, and the app is totally free.
I bet you Reggie Snodgrass works for Getaround.
Maybe so.
I would bet that that's the case. isn't
Maybe
it?
so.
Yeah, because, okay.
So your app
You know, this
cap
doesn't look
actually-
so impressive without the mask.
No.
You look kind
You look like I don't know. Yeah.
Hey!
Well, something like that. So you're
Remember the 5th of September.
you're almost right. You're only a couple months off.
I forgot.
So your app cap actually was suggested to you by the app developer before our show.
As usual, I came to the show ill-prepared. However, I asked the chat room, hey, what should I do? And they gave me many good choices, all of which you'll see in the next few weeks. But what's interesting, Black Pawn is in our chat room, and he said, Sketch Club, which he wrote. And you know what? I downloaded it. It was $2.99, and I agree. It's fantastic. So Sketch Club, we were just showing iPhoto. What Sketch Club is basically if you were going to pay $10 for Photoshop Touch, stop and look at this. It's $2.99, and I think it has many advantages over Photoshop. It is not merely a drawing program. It's also a photo editing program. They've got custom brushes. They've got a vast community, so they have custom brushes designed by a lot of people. This is the most Photoshop-like part of it. It's got layers and all the layer blend modes that you'd see in Photoshop. These are all layers. I can create a number of different layers. That's fantastic. Transforms, copy, merge down. But now let's go to the brushes because this is fantastic. So there's fur. Should I put some fur?
Yes.
Fur is bad except when it's done this way, right? Let's get some brown fur though. All right?
Yeah.
All right.
We
There
want to
go.
make it realistic
And
after
I'm
all.
going to draw some. What am I doing wrong, Black Pawn? I thought I had fur. Normal, multiply, screen, erase.
Make sure that your layer blend is
Oh, you might not be on the
I've
right
screwed
layer
up the
now.
layers. I got to stay in the layer. There we go. See, the layers fooled me. I was drawing fur. I was just drawing it in the wrong place. Let's put some fur on.
So you're going liberal with the fur, but if you wanted to just give me a nice
I could
little
do a
mustache
collar.
or something.
Yeah. And I can also put grass beneath you, which is kind of fun.
They're little predetermined.
Oh, that's brown grass.
Brown
that's
grass.
not so good.
Just kind of dead grass.
Let's make some live grass on there.
So these are
That's
just
fun. Here's an eyedropper,
nice
so I
little
can pick up a
helpful
color
things.
from anywhere. Now, what's cool is the number and variety. By the way, there's lots more tools on here. These are all different brushes, and there's more you can get. You could see we could change a lot of the qualities of the brush, including there. So this is a drawing program, photo editing program, and if I go to the Sketch Club website, you'll see that you can upload and download images and brushes and more.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this is
It's a community.
Look at these are it's a community. So it's kind of like DeviantArt, except these are all done with this app. This is beautiful. Isn't that amazing?
So you can kind of do like little mashups.
And this person, Tirza, has been saving stages, so you can see the work in progress versions as she's been working, which I just think is fantastic. This Black Pawn, nice job. I love the community here. The number of brushes. This is just
Do not upload that picture to Sketch Club, please.
of you and the fur and the grass.
Yeah, it's not your best work. Let's be honest.
Oh, I agree
love
with you.
the.
Look at this.
At first, I thought Sketch Club. What's so clubby about it? But that's because
this is the club.
Yeah, there's all sorts of folks who are giving input and
you
sharing
can then
stuff
afterwards
and
you
liking
can share it, of course, to Facebook. You can vote. Rules Piggy sucks, and there's lots of comments. So it's also a Flickr in a way. Apparently, you give people votes with. You can give them glops, which is kind of fun. And then afterwards, you see we can record
all sorts of importing
as
tools.
we draw. We can record, make
cool.
a video
if you're
of
doing
that,
a
so you can
tutorial
watch.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just really, this is an example of kind of a homegrown app, not by a big company. But just by Black Pawn, and I think he's just done a great job and created a whole community around it. I had never heard of it, so Black Pawn, thank you for telling me about it. Sketch Club, you're right. If you're going to start using it, you might want to get a brush. In fact, I've meant to show you this week, but I will show you next week. I met the guy who did Art Rage, which is another wonderful program I've been meaning to do as a pick, and a similar idea drawing program. And he gave me a brush designed for the iPad. So next week I'll show you.
For these drawing programs, they can really come in handy.
I'll show you how that works.
Until then, Sketch Club, $3.
Thank you, Black Pawn,
Thanks,
for
Black
being in our
Pawn.
chat room and for making such a great program.
And thanks to everybody for watching this episode of iPad Today. We have a new iPad. It's going to be here in just over a week, and we are excited. And oh, you want to show my jewel?
The jewel goes in front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, the queen thing, I'm new to this.
You've been a princess for a long time, and now you've graduated.
Finally a queen.
Yeah.
Bow down. No. Yeah, well, you can, but you guys don't. Get up. But thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. If we do change the lifetime, we will let you know well in advance. Otherwise, see you here, same time, same place, next week for iPad Today. Oh!